Omaha's wealthiest and most famous are not buried in luxury.
Tonight, the final resting place for hundreds of Omaha's biggest names is in need of serious renovation. Rebecca Ray went to Prospect Hill at 32nd and Parker for tonight's special report.
High above the city they built lay the founders of Omaha.
Byron Reed started the cemetery. There's one of the Kuntz brothers, William Kuntz. He was the youngest Kuntz brother.
Carter, Millard, Buffett, and Hummel. Towns and parks named after the men and women buried 6 feet below.
Lake is buried over there.
Omaha's wealthiest forever resting here at Prospect Hill. Their grave markers as grand as the lives they once lived.
This cemetery should be pristine. We should be as good as Arlington National Cemetery. There should not be one thing wrong with this cemetery.
More depressing than death, the condition of their eternal resting place. In every direction, weeds, cracked pillars, and overturned headstones.
This vandalism happened about 8 or 10 years ago.
And left toppled until family of the deceased replaces the stones.
But then this is pretty easy because this can be picked up with their thing, and then they'll put some compound on here.
Stan Bauman worked as a caretaker for the cemetery for many years. He had quiet neighbors while living in this chapel, and in return cared for his friends, forming a close bond with those who no longer walk among us.
I bent over backwards because I love and honor this cemetery. I respect this cemetery, and I respect the dead. We're all going that way.
As generations of families die out, so have the funds to keep this cemetery maintained.
Prospect Hill is not an active cemetery, and the only means that we have to getting funds is through our mailing list.
In the private cemetery, all of the land is sold, and it's run by volunteers. Though Omaha's most famous are buried here, the city does not pay. It costs roughly $19,000 per year to mow the grass and trim the trees. Money raised exclusively through donations. Prospect Hill Foundation Board President William Johnson says the graveyard is simply lacking the funds to fix the broken monuments.
Incidentally, those stones belong to the families of the people that are buried there. They are not the property of the foundation.
Responsibilities left to descendants who may be dead as well.
As important as it is to Omaha, I hope that something will come together to get an endowment or something that can keep it maintained.
John Cook knows the importance of leaving a mark. His company, J.P. Cook, is built on the adage.
It is sad to see relatives buried there that, it's not what it used to be.
His ancestors' headstones are in bad condition, but he has plans to replace them.
Hopefully it'll be good for another 200, 300 years.
Unless new prospects are brought to Prospect Hill, it may be the last chance for restoration.
I think if you don't remember where you were from, it's hard to remember where you're going.
The cemetery has endowment funds, but that money is limited as well. Now, when the 75 North Revitalization Project breaks ground just east of the cemetery, board members hope that will bring attention to this land. They'd like to get this spot on the National Register of Historic Places and eventually make this a destination location. Reporting in North Omaha near 33rd and Parker, Rebecca Ray, KMTV, Action 3 News.